Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I'm warning on this video. May upset some people, but I have a history of doing that, so whatever. Some of this is going to be based in some facts. Some of it's just some, I guess you could say, gut feelings. But up until now, I've been somewhat accurate, fairly accurate, all the way going back to Russia invading Ukraine, stuff that Trump's been doing. And then, of course, what's happened in the last 24 hours with Israel and Iran. So I'm just going off my gut on some things. I've been telling y'all for a while that I don't have proof. I don't know exactly the details of what it is, but I think that there's something much bigger going on. And I think we're starting to see at least enough evidence to kind of indicate that that's the case. And I just want to try to put this all together for you as best as I can in this video. And I'm not telling you one way or the other. I'm just trying to put the pieces together and letting you figure out for yourself how you want to see it. So in regards to what's going on today and yesterday with Iran and Israel, Iran has struck back at Israel. They hit the Ministry of Defense building. I think they've made about 3 waves of attacks. Israel is saying that they've crossed lines, that they hit civilian targets. There's been about 20-some injuries in Tel Aviv. That at least that's what I can tell based on the news reports. And that it's going to get bigger, right? It's not over. Iran says it's not over. Israel says it's not over. Iran says that, Israel crossed lines. Israel says Iran crossed lines, and they're going to go at it. News has also been reported that the United States military has assisted Israel in defending itself against Iranian attacks. I'm going to assume possibly naval ships in the Mediterranean, maybe troops on the ground. It's possible planes in the sky that were helping knock down some of these missiles that were coming through. I haven't seen a definitive number of how many have come in, but I think around 100 they said the first wave, and there's been 2 or 3 waves since then. So who knows? The president has been adamant up till now that the United States would not be involved in this. That we would not be involved, that Israel would be on its own. And for the last 2 or 3 months, there's been these optics that the president has kind of turned his back on Israel. And I've been telling you for a long time not to buy into that. That it was all a big ruse, that it was a good cop, bad cop kind of game. And it's come out for the most part in the news that that's probably has been the case. The president announced this morning that he's known all along since the beginning of this, the time and date of this happening. He knew exactly what was going on. This was no surprise to him, and he gave a green light or gave his blessings on the attack yesterday. Israeli media has come out, it was an Israeli official, said that the president took part in this operation of deception against Iran by luring them in to peace talks. Maybe with the chance that it would work, but knowing all along that it probably wouldn't, and setting up this attack. You can believe it or you cannot. It's up to you. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. I'm telling you what's been said from fairly official sources. That's coming out of Israeli news and American news. I know it's all fake and lies anyway, so who knows what to believe anymore. Where I want to start putting things together is that we have what appears to be a coordinated effort between the United States and Israel to cause this stuff to happen this weekend. The president said himself, his own words, was he knew the date and time all along that this was going to take place. Now, let's add to that it was, and here's the thing, I want to stop for just a minute. I want you guys to all answer me a question. You don't have to put it in the comments, you don't have to say it out loud, but at least in your head. Do you believe in coincidences? I've been very vocal on this channel for a very long time that I don't believe in them anymore. I don't, especially on this kind of a level. There aren't coincidences on this kind of level. So isn't it a strange coincidence that if the president has known for weeks, maybe months, that this attack was being planned on this date, that it's also the same weekend that he planned a big parade in Washington, D.C., that would bring in lots of military troops and assets. Interesting, kind of fortifying Washington, D.C. Did you think of also the fact that at the same time, pretty much civil unrest is being unfolded? And I know that some of you are going to say, yeah, well, he didn't plan that. Well, here's the thing. While certainly the ICE and DHS has been, arresting illegals, rounding them up, what really started this going was what was happening in LA, which they had announced just a few days prior that they were going to do a big, huge roundup crackdown in LA. And it was very different than what they had done so far. Mostly what they'd been doing is going after criminal illegals. And there was news reports just days earlier from the head of, what was it, Tom something, I can't remember his name, but he's kind of the head of ICE, the czar that's leading all this. I can't think of his name. Most of you know who I'm talking about. Had said that they were going to not just be rounding up illegals anymore. They were just going to be, like criminal illegals that are like engaged in crime. They were going to be rounding up just regular old people that are trying to live their lives but just happen to be here illegally. And they went to LA, and there was video of them just pulling them out of fields that they were working in, their homes, businesses. Now, I'm not making any kind of excuse for these illegals. I have been very vocal since the beginning that they all need to be rounded up and kicked out. But I believe that there was a plan. Go to the most liberal, one of the most liberal places where there's a large population of Hispanics and liberals, and start doing very open public roundups of just regular average illegals. And let's see if that'll spur some kind of action. And it was interesting that happened just leading up to a planned military parade in Washington, D.C., and a planned, now that we know, attack on Iran. Maybe it's all a coincidence that it's happening. Maybe it's not. Here's another thing to throw out there. Do you know that right now 75% of all of our naval assets are actually here in the United States in our own waters? And that's very recent. Up until just a month or two ago, we had lots of assets in the Middle East and elsewhere. And they've all been brought home. 75% of them. Why is that? Why are they bringing them all home? Why are they deploying thousands, and now the request is tens of thousands of U.S. troops on American streets? You've got states like my own state of Missouri that is declared a state of emergency because of civil unrest, even though up until now here in Missouri, there's just been a few protests and stuff in St. Louis and Kansas City. But it's because of what could happen. In fact, the governor didn't just declare a state of emergency, but he called up the organized militia, not just the National Guard. The state of Missouri, the organized militia consists of the National Guard, the Air Guard, and the Missouri State Guard, which doesn't really exist right now, but it's a type of citizens, non-military citizen militia that's organized by the state. I like to indulge myself in listening and thinking about big crazy conspiracy theories, but I don't often really buy into them. I just think it's interesting to see. And sometimes it's kind of like a lie. Sometimes you can get nuggets of truth out of it. But this one, I'm starting to wonder. Again, what is the odds of it being a coincidental that Homeland Security decides to do this big ramp up in LA, which spawns major protests that turn into riots that cause this big nationwide, reaction that we're all going to protest on the same day that the president has been planning a first time in American history military parade where you're bringing in all these military assets to Washington, D.C., at the same time that there was a long, quiet, secret, classified, coordinated effort to start a war in the Middle East with Iran. Hey, I'm not telling you what to think or believe. I'm just posing some questions. That's all. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on too with this. There's a lot of other things that you could add into this. But the point is there something much bigger happening that we just quite don't really know yet? The current CEO of Palantir, you know, the company that I've been warning you about, last August, I believe, he warned that the United States would find itself in a three-front war with Iran, China, North Korea, and Russia, and that the United States needed Palantir to help, you know, do all the things it needs to do technologically. You think it's kind of strange that there's been this major push of drones and AI and all this kind of tech, and then now we're here where drones and AI would be very helpful with all the civil unrest, and all the technology would be very helpful, the drones and stuff, with what's going on in the Middle East. Here's another thing to throw out there, and this was pointed out, Ron Paul, not him specifically, but he has his own show. One of the people on his show was pointing out this morning that the type of attack between the drones and the missiles that Israel did up on Iran, how covert it was, how orchestrated it was, how precise that it was, looks from a military standpoint very, very similar, almost identical to what Ukraine did just a few weeks ago on Russia, where they, a couple of weeks ago, where they coordinated this very top secret, precise spider web kind of attack on Russia. And, you know, we were told, and we're still being told, that that's something that Ukraine has been working on in top secret for 18 months, and nobody knew about it. The United States didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. I don't believe that for a minute. You and I know very well that the United States has probably a ton of intelligence assets in Ukraine, in the Ukrainian government. I mean, and it's probably not that they're doing it spying-wise. We're giving them tens of billions of dollars in equipment. You know, we have to have advisors and our people there. And you're telling me that they never knew that this level of event was being planned? Same thing with Israel. I mean, now we know that they're admitting that, well, the United States has been involved. I mean, at least knew about it. So the question is, with this, did we just know about these things, or were we the ones actually helping coordinate it? Because there's a lot of similarity right now being looked at between the attack on Iran and the attack on Russia. Is there something bigger going on, folks? We've heard stories for the last few months of this golden era, this new world order. We've been shown AI videos of Trump palaces in the Middle East looking like this resort, you know, that's some kind of Trump Tower resort. Is there a bigger plan being played? And if you at least are entertaining the possibility of this, then the question is did a lot of people get played by voting for the Donald Trump? I don't know. I'm asking. You know, I'm asking you, if you supported him, do you support these actions? I mean, if now we're finding out that while the president was trying to negotiate a peace deal with Iran, he knew all along that Israel was planning an attack on them, and it's yet undetermined how much we were involved in that. How are we going to work out any kind of peace deal with any other nation now? I'm just curious, because if I was any other nation, I'd say, man, are you going to do the same thing to me you did to Iran? Stab us in the back? Sounds very similar to what Japan was doing to the United States that led up to the Pearl Harbor and us entering World War II. For those of you that know your history, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just telling you that there's just too many coincidences happening for me to just accept that these are just coincidences. I mean, what are the odds of that? What are the odds that these things are happening all at the same time and there's no central planning to it? It's just a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence that this all happened. Are you okay with believing that? I'm not, but I'm not here to tell you what to think or do. I just want you to think about this. Anyways, the stuff that's planned this weekend, I think there will definitely be some places getting out of hand. And as this is starting to come out more and more, that the United States might have been more involved in this attack on Iran than what was originally thought, and that the United States apparently right now is doing at some level involvement in defending Israel because the president said this morning that we would. You have to start worrying and assuming that there's a strong possibility that some of these protests that are happening will become more than protests. And you need to be prepared for that. Don't be foolish. Be on alert. Today, you should be going over your plans, going over your equipment, making sure it's all ready to work, going over your supplies, going over what you're going to be doing this weekend, maybe making some changes as to where you go and what you do. And I would probably be making those plans to cover for at least several days until we have a good grasp on what's going on. Because while I most certainly am not on here to pinpoint and tell you what's happening, I'm telling you what is happening smells really, really rotten. And you need to get ready. It's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.